I will pass floor to our first speaker, Tina Ramirez. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. And I'm honored to be with all of you today to be able to share the work that we do. We believe that freedom is really hardwired into each of us. And so the name of my organization being Hardwired may make a little bit more sense when you understand that. And the freedom of conscience and belief, really most importantly, is one of our most fundamental human rights. And so, as he shared, we focus on education and training for this fundamental human right. I want to set the stage a little bit for my colleague who's going to come on and share. As you know, in 2014, in Iraq, also known as the cradle of civilization, Daesh took over the country in the northern part, and in particular Mosul and the Nineveh Plains. And in that region, over 600,000 children lived, and they began to change the school curriculum and to teach the children that were allowed to go to school hateful ideas and how to kill people who believe differently from them. And so for 4 years, these children, the boys, because the girls were not permitted to go to school, were really influenced by these ideas of hate and intolerance. And if left to themselves, you can only imagine how these children, for no fault of their own, would have been left to repeat the same cycle of violence that we have seen, sadly overwhelm Iraq for many years and many decades. And so that's why Hardwired acted. Before Daesh had ever even been defeated in the region, the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office actually funded a project that we were able to do in the northern region and across Kurdistan to prepare teachers who had fled from ISIS to go back into the region when it was finally freed. And so in the midst of all of the chaos that was happening and the ideology of hate that was surrounding them, these teachers courageously went through a training program that we developed and learned how to help children replace these ideas of hate and intolerance with the value of freedom of religion or belief, of pluralism, of human dignity for all. And so when Daesh was defeated and families began to return, alongside them were these courageous teachers who went into Mosul and the Nineveh Plains and began to reopen schools and teach children a different way. One of the teachers that we worked with there, and we've been working with many since 2015, shared with me that when he returned to the region where he had been displaced from, he saw a little girl with a backpack walking through the rubble to school, and he didn't want to rebuild the school. I mean, he was still very discouraged and overwhelmed. The children were violent. They exhibited the ideas that they had learned from Daesh. But he said when he saw that little girl, he was so moved, he knew he had to act, he had to do something. And so each of the teachers that we worked with, and we've worked with dozens over the years, were compelled to go back in, risking their own lives and the dangers that they did face, and to go and teach children in that region a different way, how to overcome their fears and the intolerance that they have been taught, and to help the children of families that had been forced into displacement camps to be able to go back in and reintegrate in the society in a way that they could find their freedom and dignity and not be overwhelmed by the violence. So one of the teachers that has been working with us since then is here with us today. And I want to turn it over to 𝘍𝘰𝘙𝘉, as you shared, who's going to share a little story about the impact of those lessons and the training that he's gone through with the students. So if I could turn it over to 𝘰𝘙𝘉, and then I will, 𝘍𝘰𝘠, and then I'll share a little bit more in the end. 𝘍𝘰𝘠, go ahead.
Thank you, Tina.
You can start.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
I am pleased to be with you today. First, I would like to thank Hardwired organization and Ms. Tina Ramirez for doing a great work here in Iraq. The Hardwired organization came in a very important time of our lives. Every day in the classroom, we have shared the lessons we learned from Hardwired, and our hearts beat with hope, safety, and love that they are impacting students. Hardwired's program in Iraq encourages pluralism, coexistence, and respect through a secret message that begins with our humanity. One of the training I conducted 2 years ago in a high school was unforgettable. The 29 students in my class were a mix of various religions, and most were from the city where the school is located, but some minorities were from nearby villages and held different religions. belief. I was the first one to ever teach them about pluralism and religious freedom, and they were very interested in the lesson. However, the impact of that training went far beyond the time we spent together. One time, as I was in the market, a student from the minority group from the nearby village stopped me. He said, "Mr. Rayyan, the training you delivered to us has made us win a football tournament." At first, I couldn't understand the link between the training and the football win that he talked about. But then he continued explaining that before the lessons on religious freedom, some other kids were establishing a team to participate in the football tournament. The team was missing 3 players, and him and his friends applied to join the team, but were rejected because they were from a nearby village and a different religion. Then he said that after they all attended my lessons, it made the greatest impact. He said, "Those same members of the team who rejected us gave us a chance to join the team," and they did. Then we trained together and won the football game. So sometimes a football game can break the ice and build respect and pluralism. I saw how a short lesson can change a student's behavior, and that is what was aspired to achieve here in Iraq for the long run. I have seen the impact of those lessons and how they can change a whole community that has been fractured for years. Therefore, spreading freedom of religion or belief has a major role in restoring stability and tranquility here, especially amongst school children who are the nucleus for building any nation. And this is my hope for children in my country and everywhere. Thank you very much.
Two Yazidi teachers that attended our training prior to Daesh being defeated developed this lesson called the Peaceful Garden. And they ended up teaching children across the refugee camp how to plant these gardens, and used this idea of a garden as an analogy for how to plant the seeds of peace and freedom to give hope to their community. 𝘍𝘰𝘙𝘉's story was actually also taken and developed into a lesson that was then turned into a children's book that we wrote. And we published a series of these children's books with support from the British Foreign Office that are being shared not just in Iraq, but in many different countries, from Kosovo to Lebanon and Jordan to parts of Africa. And it's been an honor to be able to work with these teachers and to see, even in the heart of Mosul, which had once been just a den for such intolerance and violence and hatred, to now see children exhibiting plays and doing lessons on freedom of religion or belief and pluralism and being open-minded to the dignity and freedom of others. It's really remarkable to see that play out over time, and I've been able to work with 𝘍𝘰𝘙𝘉 for now several years to be able to see that transformation take place. It's really a transformation in the culture of the classroom there. Since we started, the government of Iraq and the Director of Education in Mosul has given us full access to be able to carry out our programs and train all of the teachers in the region to be able to embrace these ideas and help the children overcome the conflict that they and the trauma that they had experienced. And we're honored that the Templeton Religion Trust, the Sterling Foundation, and a number of other foundations have come alongside us to support these continued efforts. If you would like to be a part of these efforts and see these same types of lessons and ideas be embedded into the culture in your country or in a country you know, or even in your children's lives, I hope you'll reach out to us to learn more about the children's books and the resources and the training programs we have. And we will be expanding in the years to come, and we're excited to see the fruit and the seeds of peace that are being spread because of the great work of teachers like 𝘍𝘰𝘙𝘉. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Tina. Maybe she's so shy. She is the author of a very nice book, Fruitopia. Maybe you can just mention the idea, because I liked very much the idea which is behind the book.
Okay.
Yeah, shortly.
Shortly. Okay, when we teach, we don't teach about religion. We teach about fruit, because religion is often a very sensitive subject, as we all know. And so we have students use fruit, which you saw in the pictures, and create a new culture around a fruit. And they go through a simulation and a training that teaches them how to identify with a completely fictional culture that's identified by a fruit, and they go through challenges related to the fruit. So it removes a lot of the challenges. It also, in Iraq in particular, uses play therapy. So children that have been traumatized are able to have a very sensitive way of engaging with hard conversations through something that's playful and fun. But fruit has broken down a lot of barriers, and if you would like the book, we have extra copies here. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. There is a Fruitopia. You can see the map of the country, and the children are walking the country and speaking about the different type of fruits, right? So excellent idea. Thank you very much.
You can see how they worship in the back, and all the most interesting ways that fruit do.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank also to Ryan. He can hear us. I think the soccer is excellent way to build tolerance and understanding.